And on that note, I'd like to introduce Polly McGee, who's going to take our session before morning tea. Now, Polly is an author, speaker, broadcaster, leadership facilitator and designer, an all-purpose human being. With over a decade working in innovation and commercialisation in leadership program design and delivery for public, university and private sector roles, Polly has a strong background in combining entrepreneurial coaching, facilitating, teaching, curriculum design and content authoring with a search for meaning and purpose. Trained by Dr. Brené Brown in her Dare to Lead certified program facilitation, Polly delivers this work to corporates and aspiring vulnerable and courageous leaders from all over the world. Her leadership and keynote work is based on the combination of her key values, spirituality and curiosity. Polly educates and advocates for the global change that comes from connection and personal responsibility for the welfare of all parts of our planetary ecosystem. So welcome, Polly.
Hey everyone. Isn't it beautiful to be back in rooms together as humans? So nice. Parker has given us a lot to think about, and before we move to our small table discussions, I'd like to invite you to come into a moment of presence together so we can really just let some of that reflect through us. So if you'd just like to close down your eyes, and just feel your bodies relaxing, and I'd like you to take 3 conscious breaths through your nose. Just taking a deep breath in, letting it move its way down, expanding your diaphragm. Feeling it expand in a 360 degree around your rib cage. Feel it massaging your organs. And then gently, without any force, let that air come out your mouth. Just feeling yourselves in the room as you take your second breath. And reflecting on the connectedness of breath for us. Our bodies do it without thinking. There's no consciousness involved. We're just able to exist and survive and thrive on the intelligence and the wisdom that we hold within. Breath connects all of us in this way. It makes us all equal. And as you take your third conscious breath, let's just be present to what we have to offer to ourselves and each other today. And when you're ready, you can come back into the room, come back into presence with us. So we have a table discussion to have based on our personal relationship to trust. I really want us to maximise our times with each other. So I'm just going to make a connection between the idea of vulnerability and trust. In the beginning, when Ange did her opening, she put in the quote of how TAS leaders articulate or define what trust is. And one of the things that always jumps out to me is that trust is an assumption or a leaning into vulnerability and the intention of goodness from the other. Now we know that relationally, trust and vulnerability are really tightly linked together. But we can't have one without the other, and we can't have one before the other. So they're partners in a dance. To have vulnerability, we need to have trust. To have trust, we need to have vulnerability. And we need to incrementally build these like a gentle scaffold around ourselves. So we need to think about courage, and we also need to cast our mind to the thing which holds us back from vulnerability. What stops us being vulnerable and courageous isn't fear, which is what you'd assume it might be. What stops us being vulnerable and courageous is armour. It is the shields which stop us from being fully seen, fully heard, and fully present. So I invite you, when we go into our table discussion today, to think about how you can soften in to this in the safe container we have with each other in this leadership symposium. And I invite you at your tables today to share your story of your relationship to trust. As Parker said, we're driven by storytelling, and it's the thing that opens us up to being authentic, vulnerable, and the uniqueness of who we are. So, armour down, courage and vulnerability up, and let's share with each other what our personal stories of our relationship to trust are. And then Ros will bring us back for morning tea at past.